But when COVID happened, we had Stanford come to us and they said, look, there's people are depressed like crazy. We have more suicides than any time.
I wanted to get to this. I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah. So they came to me and they said, we had 2 of our professors go through one of your programs. Both were clinically depressed. Both are no longer on medication. Neither one is depressed. This is pretty miraculous. Do you have any data? And I said, well, yeah, I got millions of testimonials. I mean, literally millions. They said, no, but scientific data. I said, no, but if you want to do a study, I'd be happy to do it. And they said, well, I said, what do you want to study? They said, depression. So they took my Date with Destiny seminar. It's a 6-day program where people rewire themselves. I don't rewire them, they rewire them. And I had them go through the program. They tested them. They had a test group, obviously comparison group. But before they did it, I asked them, I said, tell me, what are the current numbers on depression for treatment? And I was blown away. They said 60% of people that take treatment, both drugs and therapy, 60% make 0 improvement. 40% improve, but the average improvement is 50%, which means they're half as depressed as they were. Some people get really well, but very few. Most people are on medication forever. I said, that would not be a hard number to beat. I said, you can almost do that with a placebo. He goes, I agree with you, but that's the numbers. I said, what's the best result you've ever seen in the history of psychiatry? It was done at Johns Hopkins, I think it's 5 years ago now, and they used psilocybin, magic mushrooms, and cognitive therapy for a month. I said, a month of that kind of alteration should have got some kind of change. They said it's the most successful thing we've ever done in history. After 6 weeks, 54% of the people had no symptoms of depression. I said, well, then our target is to beat that. I think we can. Well, let's see. And by the way, psilocybin's illegal in most places, so it's not an option, right? Plus a month of it, right? So they did the tests, and they did one group that they did the same way they did against the psilocybin test, meaning the same test group. And they did our group at the end of 6 weeks. Guess what? 93% of the people, 93% had no symptoms, and 7% that was left made significant improvements, but they still had some feelings of depression, so they needed additional work. 17% came in with suicidal ideation, thinking they commit suicide. Came out 0 had suicidal ideation. 1 year later, overall, 72% decrease in negative emotions, 51% increase in positive emotions a year later. Now, how did that work? Physiology is what is the secret. So they followed me around. You alluded to some of the tests they did. They found out that I burn 11,300 calories in 1 day on stage. I thought that was impossible. They followed me for 3 years.
It's insane, yeah.
It's totally insane.
Yeah.
But chess masters burn almost 4,000 just sitting because the way they use mine. I burn about 3,500 before I get on stage, just preparing mentally, right? And then I do all this physical stuff. Then the second thing, and by the way, that's like 2.5 marathons to give you an idea, or 2.5 NBA games, or 10 hockey NHL components to give you an idea. They gave me all the numbers, it blew my mind. Then they found that, if you're running with a friend and you can't talk anymore, you get to that point, your lactic acid's at a 4. I'm speaking at an 18, right? I have the muscle mass of NFL lineman, to give you an idea, that's built up. I got bone density from jumping 1,000 times a day. I weigh 285 pounds. Every time I come down, it's 4 times your body weight. So imagine 1,000 pounds times 1,000 hits. That's 1,000,000 pounds of pressure in 1 day. So they did my bone density. They go, these are humans. These are ultimate athletes. These are gorillas. I'm right there next to the gorillas.
I saw the video with the gorilla next to you. Yeah.
It's so wild, right? So they followed me and saw that. But then what they found was something really interesting. They one of the groups had worked with Tom Brady, and they've worked with the Lightning, the hockey team that's won multiple times. And they found that there is what they call championship biochemistry. When Tom Brady, for example, is in the 4th quarter, is down by 10 points and there's 2 minutes to go and he come back to win, how the hell does he do that? His biochemistry does something really interesting that mine does as well on stage. And that is there's this massive surge of testosterone, which gives you total focus and drive. It also makes you remember things, right? 9/11, you remember. 8/11, you don't know where you were, right? It's the emotion plus the information that links in, right? But then what they also found is cortisol usually goes up with testosterone. Cortisol is the stress hormone. But for the people that do this championship, their cortisol drops through the roof. So all you get is the benefits of driving testosterone, none of the stress. I go into every time I go on stage, but then they started measuring my audience. And then they measured my digital audience in their homes around the world. It looks like music. We start out different, and then all of a sudden, we become entrained, and literally the audience's biochemistry chases mine. They come and do your blood samples, they do your saliva, they do all those pieces to see where you are.